Hey guys, Travis here with Keller Williams Realty, coming to you guys with a conversation around buying versus renting in today's market here in Vancouver, Washington, and Clark County specifically. I get the question a lot through open houses, talking with friends and family members, and new buyers in general or renters currently. How hard is it to get into a home? Can I afford it? What's out there and available to me? So I wanted to do a little research and come from facts and show you guys exactly what's happening in the market and what options are available to you if you did want to buy or wanted to explore the options. So jumping into it here, guys, according to Trulia, the average rental price for a home here in Clark County is $1,859 a month to rent. Just to break that out over a year to show you guys exactly how much you'd expect to spend in a year, you're looking at $22,000, just over $22,000 a year to rent a home in Vancouver or Clark County, Washington. So the other things you're not going to see if you're renting versus buying, renting, you're not going to see a tax benefit where you can write off insurance or mortgage interest, things like that. You're not going to see a gain in equity. I also have a loss in equity here because there's always that potential. But over the last 5+ years, we've seen gains in or appreciations in value, essentially, to where if you buy a home now, if it appreciates like we expect, or like most experts are projecting around 4%, 5% potentially even, in a year, you're actually not going to see those benefits when you're renting versus buying. And actually, if it appreciates, typically you'll see a negative effect on your rent because your landlord's seeing it and they're like, hey, I can raise the rent a little bit and squeeze a little bit more out of these renters. It's not an investment when you rent, versus when you buy, you have the options of an investment. What I mean by that is if you're an owner of a home, you own it for over 2 years, and maybe you guys want to move on from it, or you want to sell it or put a renter in it, you have those options and availability to say, hey, to call your real estate agent up and say, hey, what's my home worth today in this market? Can I rent it? What's the rental price? What can I go buy and afford with the home that I'm currently selling or potentially thinking of selling? Or you can say, hey, where are the interest rates at? Can I refinance? All these things, these gives you options. So buying a home truly gives you options, where renting, you're kind of just stuck there. So renting, also rent can go up. On average, from a couple different sources I've seen, rent has gone up 4% nationwide on a yearly basis. So obviously beyond your $1,859 a month on average you need for rent, you have deposits, pet fees, cleaning fees, all those sorts of things when you get into a home or you try to leave the rental or get out of the lease, that you'll be accountable for. So we jumped into it and talking with the lender said, hey, what can I get a typical buyer into for $1,850, $2,000 a month? What's the numbers we're looking at? There's 2 great products available right now that new home buyers take advantage of. Both the reasons is because it's low down payment, and your credit score, if you have decent credit, you can typically get into a loan. And you have to talk to a lender to see more qualifications on that. But there's FHA, and then there's FHA where you use a Washington State down payment assistance program, where essentially they'll give you up to a certain percentage down for your home. You have to take a qualifying class for it, and then you also will have to pay that off before you sell. Or you refinance. If you refinance in a couple of years, my wife and I actually used this program when we bought our home about 5 years ago. We refinanced a couple of years after that, paid the down payment assistance off, and then we got a better interest rate as well. So a few things to point out here. With the FHA, you have to have 3.5% down. Your interest rate, right around 3.625 in that ballpark, depending on your credit. FHA with a Washington bond, you're going to see a higher interest rate on the Washington bond product because you are getting the assistance. So at 4.6%, so about 1 point higher if you're doing the Washington bond program. So talking with my lender partner, I said, hey, at $300,000, what's the breakdown? What are we going to look at for a home buyer? So at $300,000 here in Clark County, there's about 80 homes on the market active today that would qualify for either one of these products. So if you're doing FHA, you have the 3.5% down, which on $3,000 or $300,000, it's going to be about $10,500. So if you have that down payment and you say, hey, I'd like to buy, I'm ready, I've been saving, here's what we're going to look at. You're going to be paying about $1,893 approximately a month for your mortgage if you have that money. In addition to your down payment, there's closing costs, things of that nature. And in a lot of events, we'll be able to get the seller to pay for that or wrap that into the loan itself. So you'd be coming to the table with $10,500. You have two things that are important to pay attention to as well. You're going to have to do a home inspection, or you don't have to, but I would highly recommend it. And that's typically around $400 to $450 to do the home inspection. And then you'll have an appraisal as well you'll have to pay for. And that typically can go from anywhere from $600 to $750, $800, depending on the needs of it or the area too. So those are two additional costs. The closing costs we can typically get wrapped in. It can range anywhere from 2 to 3% depending on the loan you're using. On the Washington bond side of things, you're going to be at $300,000 with the down payment assistance, a little higher interest rate. You'll be at about $2,043 a month. And in this one as well, you'll have closing costs typically a little bit higher using this one, but most of the time we'll be able to work that into the offer to where the seller is paying for it or we're wrapping it into your loan. And you can I've helped buyers truly get into a home for $1,000 or $1,500 out of their pocket. That's appraisal, that's home inspection, and earnest money as well. So there's two great products out there and available right now for you guys. The next step, if you're renting currently and you're thinking about buying, is having a conversation with a real estate professional and then getting connected with a lender to start the process of figuring out which one of these products works best for you, or if there's another one that might be best for you. I know there's a couple different programs out there beyond these ones, but these are the two most common used. So just to breeze back through it here, you're going to spend about $1,859 on average in the Vancouver, Clark County area to rent a home. That's about $22,000 a year you're spending in rent. You're not going to get any of the benefits you do of buying, where you have the potential that you're going to gain equity, you're going to have tax write-offs. You can have the options down the road in a couple of years of saying, hey, I want to rent this out, own a rental property, and I want to move on and buy a different home. You don't really get those options when you're renting. When you buy, obviously, you go to a couple of years down the road, the home values with any luck will continue to appreciate. We're hearing 4 to 5%. If home values did appreciate at 5%, say, you would be buy at $300,000. Next year, your home could be worth $315,000. So you're already sitting on some equity. So in the long run, it's not that hard to get into a home. You just need a skilled professional who really goes the extra mile. I actually went up to Seattle to learn more about the Washington bond program, so I'm very familiar with how that works, and can get you more questions answered on that. So if you have questions, somebody thinking about buying or selling, or somebody who has just general questions about the market here in Vancouver, Washington. Been here my entire life. I spend a lot of time dedicating to figuring out what the market's doing in different areas here in the area. Feel free to reach out, call, text, or email, whatever's easiest for you guys. You can hit me up on my website as well. There'll be a link down here in the YouTube video where you can find my website. And then also my phone number is 360-607-7472. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll be back in a week or so with more information. My intention is to cover from A to Z in the buying to selling process, whether it's home staging, whether it's how to negotiate through home repairs and what to look at when you're touring a home, to different products that might be able to help you guys get into an investment. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back soon.